this forward control Jeep was definitely the most popular one you guys responded about. And I really was going to bring it home, and then I thought one of these belongs in the woods here, because these are the best things in the world for getting firewood. So I'm not going to take the whole Jeep home. I'm going to leave it here. I'm actually going to fix it here and get it running in this yard for firewood hauling. What I am going to take home is that winch, because we don't need that to haul firewood. It actually gets in the way of loading stuff, and I've got another use for that one. So I'm going to steal the winch. Yep, perfect. I can just get enough slack in the chain to slide that off. I'm going to need this PTO drive. There we go. That's the good stuff. Yep, loading a winch with a winch. Definitely the right idea. I haven't given up on the FC150 idea. So I'm going to take this one. I'll give you a tour of this one. Now obviously you can see it's a forward cab. There are some rust issues here and there. Luckily, with the rust, we have some very all-natural body filler. So that's covering up a number of holes, so we're okay there. Ooh, well, this door falls only down slightly. It doesn't fall off. I'll just put that back there. We've got no motor. This one has been gutted for my other FC150 that I built years back. There are rust issues. Pretty much we have Swiss cheese here. There's no sugarcoating. Hey, there's a battery. Wow. Little wobbly here and there. More of that all-natural body filler though. So that's a bonus. So anyway, yeah. I'm going to see if I can get this thing to roll, because turning wheels are going to be really a good asset for me. I think that's key. Well, before I take this Jeep, I got to leave some parts here. This is the old Firewood Bed, which worked fantastically. What we have here is this universal angle material, and it basically have one cross member there, one cross member in the front, one cross member in the back. And then the angled sides, and then wood lining the whole thing. I think it was 2x6s, 2x12s, something like that. But what this did is with the angle, when you threw firewood into it, it easily rolled right to the center. And so you could throw it from a distance, it landed right where you wanted it. And it was small enough, you could just go and reach over. The sides only went up this high. So really, this worked out well for medium-sized loads of firewood. Well, only 2 bolts out of the whole bed needed a Sawzall. The rest unscrewed. Weird. Now I want to take this cab off, because it's really, even for me, this thing is pretty bad. I think I'll be better off starting from scratch and building something completely new on this frame than trying to get this cab going again. So I'm going to leave it here, because I don't want to have the air resistance of this cab for 2,000 plus miles. Now, to remove one of these cabs, luckily it's mostly rusted away. So things like that mount there is not going to be an issue. We have one mount holding over here. The front ones look a little iffy, but right here is one of the main structural parts of the cab. That goes to the steering box. The steering box is attached to the frame. I want that steering box and steering wheel because I'm going to be doing a forward drive something. So this has to be detached from all this bracing and master cylinder and all that. Huh, that actually worked. If you ever had a dying desire to know where the emergency brake on a forward cab is, this is it. It was under the dash. There's the ratchet mechanism right there. Yeah, I'm not taking this cab. That handle looks like it could be useful for something. A lot less structure from this direction. going to see what just driving forward does. Catastrophic or good? One or the other. There, the simple and easy way to remove a cab from a forward cab Jeep without taking out the steering wheel, because that was the priority. On the rear, I need to put on something to roll this thing around onto the trailer with. Now what I have here, something I bought a long time ago. I've got a full set of 4 nice wide rims with some Zenith big track tires on it. And I think back in the day, and this is probably late 80s or so, I paid 20 bucks for the set of 4. And I just pulled them out. They still hold air. I put air in them 2 days ago and they still at the same pressure. So they're like new. Now the problem, and the reason I never used them, is that center hole is too small. Jeeps have a big center hole. This must have been from a Ford or something. It won't fit over the hubs. But in the rear, there's no hub sticking out. It won't fit flat, but I think I can get it good enough to get it on a trailer. So we're going to give that a shot. I've got all my winch parts and a bunch of miscellaneous Jeep stuff up front in the wooden box. Got my frame here. Goes all the way to the end of the trailer. So the trailer's full, right? Or is it? I'm going to see if I can put another Jeep on here, going upwards. Right here, I have a Jeep Cj5 1964 Tuxedo Park Mark IV edition. You can tell it's a fancy one by all the chrome doodads it has. Now, I have it right here and here and over there, and the frame and drivetrain over there. Now, I bought this Jeep when I was about 12 or 13 years old or so for 150 bucks. And I used to love driving in the woods here. Had a few issues though. Front suspension is a unique design. The front springs are bent and the shackles are folded inward, so you had constant lift here. Now that was the good side. The other side of this one is a little worse. It is, the spring was broken completely, so the previous owner welded a piece of plate connecting the frame directly to the axle. So you have no problems with ground clearance there at all. Also had a few other problems, like the body was so rusty that when you did take a corner, it slid over and did things like jam the gas pedal in whatever position it was in. It also made shifting not work and stuff like that. So I ended up taking the body off and building myself a Swamp Buggy. This here is the Swamp Buggy. This is the way I drove it. It's pretty much, I took off the carburetor and I stole a few parts here and there, but it's pretty much as is, or as was. I thought before I hadn't driven it in about 15 years. I've been thinking about it. I think it's probably closer to 20, maybe more. But it's pretty much everything you need for a vehicle. You've got the sturdy cooling system, motor obviously. It's got a column shifter on it, which is kind of neat. Complete ignition system right here. And this sort of just flopped around a little bit. I think I had it safety wired on something for a while. We have an old Blazer rear seat in some really sketchy braces welded to the frame. Oh hey, here's a hole rested in the side of the block. That might become an issue. Huh. So anyway, I'm going to scavenge this for parts because might as well reuse whatever I can. Use a whole carcass, as it were. But we're going to see if we can use this to put together another Jeep and get that going. Thinking that a yellow Cj2A, my other $500 Jeep, plus this $150 Jeep, we're up to 650 bucks. So far that sounds pretty good, but I'm going to have to buy a few odds and ends to get this all running, so we'll see if I can beat the cost of my $950 Jeep with this one. First off, I'm going to carefully remove some of the things I'm pretty sure I won't need. Oh, it's almost removed already. we'll just save that for later. I'm going to try to use everything I can off this frame. So to make my life easier loading it on here and transporting it, we're just going to cut it in half. That'll make life simpler. Well, I've been scouring for more stuff to put on this pile, and I found one of the coolest sets of tires and rims ever. Right here. These are, well, right here is one without a tire, 2 rims welded together. And here's the outside one, there's the inside one. The center is torch cut to fit a Jeep. And so you have double wide rims, a wide white wall tire. This is not a wide tire, just a wide white wall. And there's a tube in there which stretches the tread into the bead. Well, I dropped off this, and I'm coming back with this pile of forward cab and Cj5 goodness. And assuming everything stays on the trailer, we'll see you in a few thousand miles. I made it back home with a big pile of junk. Let me show you what I brought. Now inside the box, we have the winch, the PTO drive. There's where it's going to engage the transmission. We have an old tailgate. This is from that Tuxedo Park Mark IV with the fancy chrome. A jack of unknown kind, but it's pretty cool and kind of like a high lift jack, but not as good because it doesn't really work well. We've got an old windshield frame, pieces of it, drive shaft, more windshield frame bits, and what's really important in the desert here, tire chains. Because tire chains are really good on snow and ice, which we don't have. But we'll see how they do in sand. These tires, my dad and his buddies made them back in the 60s for an MB. But I used to sit in that thing and pretend to drive, and those are the tires on it. And I think that's what made me love flat fender Jeeps. So they're going on another flat fender. 2 of them still hold air. The bottom frame, that is a 58 FC 150. You saw me pull the body off it. That was actually the first vehicle I ever drove on my own. I couldn't touch the gas pedal, but I could reach the brake and the clutch, and with the choke pulled out a little bit for a high idle, I drove that thing around. So I've got that thing. I'm going to do something interesting with it, but that's the frame from the first vehicle I ever drove. Up top is that Cj5 Swamp Buggy, and that is the first thing I ever did serious wheeling in. I spent a lot of time driving that thing around the backyard, and I learned a lot about four-wheeling and what to do and what not to do. But that thing is going to get pieces revived and make another Jeep live again. And even though I tried to class it up a little bit, I even added my Continental spare tire kit here. Most people probably thought I was bringing a pile of junk, but this is a pile of memories. And that's important because that gives me incentive. Because right now when I build a project, I can think about both the past and the future while working on the present. And that makes working on stuff fun. And fun is what it's all about. And then, speaking of future, grab the hood to that Trans Am. That's going on my wall, and that will remind me I got to get that car going someday. So that's where we're at. And until next time, keep having fun.